So we have, from the very first day of class, we have cells. Cells give you tissues, and tissues give you organs, and organs give you systems, right? So then that's what we know. So we basically finish with everything that got to do with a cell in this class. So that's why we are jumping from cells that we already finished into what we know now as tissues, right? So therefore, what makes up a tissue? Cells, right? So therefore, every single time we talk about tissues, we will have to talk about cells, right? So then we have 4 primary tissues, right? The 4 primary tissues are these ones. You have in here epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscle tissue, and nervous tissue right there. Okay, so those are the 4 primary tissues. Then regarding the types of epithelial tissue that we're going to have, remember, as I mentioned before, we're going to have cells. And you can see right here the type of cells, right? The type of cells can be flat, therefore they're going to be called squamous. They can be like cubes, therefore they're going to be called cuboidal. And they can be like columns, therefore they're going to be columnar. Well, not only we have different type of cells, but we can have layers. So when we have one layer like this one, right, that's one layer, one layer, one layer. In that case, that's going to be called simple. Okay, but in addition to simple, we're going to have a group of layers, which are going to be called stratified. So let me help you out with that. So we can say with respect to the epithelial tissue that we're going to have simple when it's one layer, right? Or stratified when we have multiple layers, right? So then that's what we have right there. So then the example that you have right here on in your book, you're going to be simple, right there, simple squamous, simple cuboidal, and simple columnar. So you can see right there. But remember, we can have multiple layers. In that case, it's going to be stratified squamous, stratified cuboidal, and stratified columnar. In addition to these epithelial tissues, we can have also transitional, and we can have pseudo-stratified. Okay, transitional is usually multiple layers, but the cells are not going to be either flat, cubes, or columns. They're going to have different shapes. And this one is going to be called pseudo-stratified. Pseudo means that it looks like. So therefore, this one is going to be that looks like stratified, right? Looks like multiple layers, but it is not. So that's going to be epithelial. Connective. Okay, so then it's called like that because technically some of these tissues are going to connect. So for example, bones connect bones with other bones, right? For example, you have your skeleton and you can see your bones are connected to other bones. So therefore, right, the bones are part of that connective tissue. Now, however, in our body, we have ligaments and tendons. And ligaments or tendons are going to be part of what we know as the true or proper connective tissue. Okay, true or proper connective tissue, the ligaments and the tendons. And those are the ones that we're going to be focusing on. So as I mentioned before, when we have tissues, we are going to talk about cells. So then what are the name of these cells that are going to make these ligaments and tendons? Those are going to be called the fibroblasts. What is it that the fibroblast is going to use in order to make these ligaments and tendons? Well, it's going to use fibers. These fibers are going to be reticular fibers, collagen, and elastic fibers. However, when we're building these different types of structures with the fibroblast is going to use a lot of fibers, right? Many fibers. In that case, that particular connective tissue is going to be called loose connective tissue. And examples of that, we're going to have, for example, areolar and reticular. So these are examples. Or it will use, lots of fibers. If you use lots of fibers, then we're going to call that dense. Now, the dense, if it shows a pattern, we're going to call that regular. And if it doesn't have a pattern, we're going to call that irregular. So if we go back right here to the muscle tissue, then we can say that the cells that are going to make these tissue, right, the muscles, they are going to be called myocytes or muscle cells, okay? Now, these myocytes are they're going to make up different types of muscles. We're going to have, for example, a skeletal muscle because this type of muscle is going to be attached to the skeleton. But myocytes don't form skeletal muscles only. They can also make up your entire heart. So in that case, these myocytes are going to be called cardiac muscles. You can see right there. These myocytes, they can form a skeletal muscle, cardiac muscle, but they may form also a different type of muscle, which is going to be called a smooth muscle. So then these myocytes are going to form 3 different types of muscles. That's, for example, if we look based on the location, right? We can see that, we can say that some of these muscles are going to be skeletal muscles when they are attached to the bones, cardiac muscles when they make up your entire heart, and a smooth muscle. Smooth muscle is going to be found, for example, in our hollow organs, such as the stomach and the intestines, for example. Right? All the muscles contract, and when they contract, they're going to achieve movement. Now we go to the nerves right here. This is another tissue, right? And remember what we say, if we talk about tissues, then we need to talk about cells. Then the cells that we're going to have in there, as you can see right here, there are going to be two main groups. One of them is going to be the neurons, and the other one is going to be the neuroglia. The neurons and the neuroglia working together, they're going to help you think, feel, and move. Let's keep moving. Right here we have, for example, it says that in the connective tissue, we said that we are going to have fibers, and that's what you have right here, right? We said collagen fibers. If we scroll down right here, I guess we're going to have the other ones right there. Elastic fibers and reticular fibers. There you go. And remember, we can put together these fibers, and we're going to have different types of connective tissue, right? We're going to talk about in a little bit. So right here we have epithelial tissue. So that's what it is right here, epithelial tissue. So we talk about epithelial tissue, we have different cells and different layers. So we have in here simple. What the simple means, one layer, right? So therefore we are going to have simple squamous, simple cuboidal, simple columnar, right? That's simple, right? That means one layer of flat cells, one layer of cube cells, and one layer of columnar cells. Okay, so then if we look over here, guys, oh, we also have in here pseudostratified, right? Why it's called pseudostratified? Because it's just, it appears to be multiple layers, but it is not. It's just one layer. And that's why it's going to be called pseudostratified. So if we look over here, guys, so take a look. This is an actual picture from a microscope where you can see the different cells. And I'm going to try to highlight them in there for you. So look, if you look over here, so you have in here one cell, and the nucleus right there, you can see that in black right there. You have the other cell in here like this. You can see the nucleus in blue right there. You can see the other one in here like that. What type of tissue do you think this is, guys? This is that simple squamous. Very good. By the way, this is the lung. Let's keep moving. Next one. Look, these cells right here, I'm going to highlight them for you, okay? Right here. Okay, and then I'm going to point at the layers right here. Tell me the name of this tissue. Simple cuboidal. Very good. Now, this one, if we scroll down right here, what do we have right here? Now, guys, this is obvious, right? I'm going to try to kind of look right there. Goes all the way right here. Columnar, right? There's only one layer, right? It goes right here. That's the one layer right there. Okay, so then obviously it goes without saying. That's simple column. That's way too easy. Okay, let's go over here. Right here, what you're going to have right here is multiple, what appears to be multiple layers, but it is not. So let me show you that, guys. So this one right here is going to pseudostratify. Why it's called pseudostratify? Because it appears to be multiple layers, right? But I'm going to show you this. I'm going to highlight the nucleus, okay? The nucleus right here. Here's the nucleus of this cell right there. And now take a look at this other one. Like you can see more nuclei in here, right here. So if you look at this from far away, right, it appears that you have two layers, right? Look, I can even put a line in here like that. So if you look at the nucleus, you can clearly see in here that this appears to be one layer. And below that, this appears to be another layer. It's just one layer with cells that are going to have different heights. And because of that, obviously, you're going to have nuclei at different levels, therefore giving you the impression that it's multiple layers when it is not. So therefore, this one is going to be obviously pseudo-stratified. Okay, so then if we scroll down right here, we have in here. So now we have, tell me, what do you think is this? So what's the top? Epithelial tissue. So what type of epithelial tissue is this? Okay, I see some stratified squamous, obviously, right? Stratified, there's a whole bunch of layers in here, right? And the cells are going to be flat. Good, let's keep going. This is the same thing. In here, you can clearly see the fat cells in here, right? The flat cells right there. And you can see there are multiple layers, right? So then what's the difference? This one is going to be keratinized. This one is going to be non-keratinized, right? So then what's the difference between keratinized and non-keratinized? You can fairly easily understand that by looking at your hand. Your palm is going to be keratinized. The dorsal side of your hand is going to be non-keratinized. Okay, let's keep going. So right here, this one is going to be stratified cuboidal. And I'm going to highlight the nucleus for you. Okay, so there's one nucleus in here. There's going to be another nucleus. More than one is multiple. right? So in this case, what you have in there is multiple layers. In this case, you just have two. So this is going to be more or less like this. Okay, where you have the two layers right there. So therefore, what is this going to be? Stratified cuboidal, right? Because the cells are going to be cubes, but you have two layers, therefore it's going to be stratified. So we scroll down right here. Right here, guys. Now, I want you to tell me, guys, take a look at this figure, letter D right there. There's multiple differences, right? You can tell which one is which one in there. Very hard to tell, right? So therefore, there's multiple layers in there, different layers. You see maybe this one layer, another layer, multiple shapes of cells that don't tell you anything. So this is definitely transition, okay? So we scroll down right here. And now after that, the students make that drawings right here.